Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is December 16th, 2025, and John Laporta has responded to Florentino Perez. Also, new images of the 2026-2027 home kit have been leaked, and we're going to look at them. And finally, Alessandro Bastoni. Could it be a signing for Barcelona? We'll discuss that as well. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Bo. We'll begin this video with the news that John Laporta has responded to Florentino Perez. Now, before we talk about John Laporta's statements, of course, today Barcelona did defeat Club Deportivo Guadalajara 0-2 in the Copa del Rey. I did do a post-match live analysis. If you want to hear my reaction to that match, make sure to head to the channel and watch it. But anyways, let's get back to the news because as I discussed in yesterday's podcast, Florentino Perez went on another tirade, this time during the Christmas speech to Real Madrid Socios, where he, of course, attacked Barcelona and the whole Negreira case, calling it the worst case in the history of Spanish football. Now, if you want to hear more about the exact statements of Florentino Perez and my reaction to them, you can watch yesterday's podcast on the channel. Now, John Laporta has replied to Florentino Perez, and this is what he said. The Barcelonitis has turned into acute Barcelonitis. Of course, what he refers to Barcelonitis is that, the obsession that Madrid have with Barcelona. And I see it's taking root in the hearts of Madrid fans. Nothing more to say. Things are going well for us because they're more worried about us than they should be. They keep dragging out the Negreira issue to justify something that isn't working out for them. John Laporta firing shots at Florentino, of course, saying that he's obsessed with us, and that's actually good for us. Why? Because their focus is all on us rather than on them, right? I mean, right now, Madrid is in total shambles. Their stadium is an absolute joke. Their sporting project is an absolute joke. So, of course, they try to distract away by attacking Barcelona and attack with the whole Negreira case. But while doing that, that's actually great for us because as long as they're focused on us, they're not focused on themselves. So please, Madridistas, keep obsessing about Barca, keep obsessing about the refs, because as long as you do, well, you're never going to fix a disaster that you have at hand. And well, that's music to my ears. Now, John Laporta continued by saying, if the discourse has changed, it's because last year there was agreement on certain projects. And now, seeing that these projects haven't come to fruition, we have an agreement with UEFA because what we seek is peace in football and others apparently don't. So, of course, here, John Laporta, what he's referring to is the Super League because, of course, Barcelona and Real Madrid were still in the Super League project. I think it was last month. Yeah, approximately last month. Barcelona pulled out of that project and realigned itself with the ECF and with UEFA. And since then, Florentino Perez has, lashed out against Barca twice about the Negreira case, right? Because what a coincidence. Because look, if the Negreira case is such a serious thing for Florentino Perez, why hasn't he talked about it before? I mean, the investigation has been going on for 2.5 years. Actually, more than 2.5 years. Why hasn't he said anything during those 2.5 years? Why wasn't it until now, until Barcelona finally pulled out of the Super League project, that all of a sudden the Negreira case is so important? Well, part of it is to distract away from the failures of Real Madrid under Florentino Perez. And the other part is, well, he's lashing out against Barca because Barcelona left him all alone. Now, speaking of the Negreira case, audios have been leaked from the testimony of Jean Laporta, Ernesto Valverde, that happened last Friday, which, of course, I did talk about. And this is an excerpt from those audios from Jean Laporta, who said the sports department was the recipient of these analyses, talking, of course, about the refereeing scouting reports that Negreira's company produced for Barcelona in exchange for the money that Barcelona paid him. I don't remember when it started, before our presidency, because it was inherited. I was informed that there was advice, and it was decided to continue with these payments. FC Barcelona has never taken any action with the aim of altering the competition. This is crystal clear. a reality, and I prefer not to comment on it now. But it is evident this is an orchestrated campaign to try to damage Barca's reputation, especially at a glorious time in the club's history. So Laporta, of course, explaining that these reports preceded him. He's talking about his first presidency. And when he arrived at the club, they told him, hey, there's a company that's producing referee and scouting reports. They're for the sporting department. And he said, okay, cool, keep it going. But he never actually dealt with them directly. He didn't initiate these scouting reports. And he talks, of course, about how the whole Negreira case is nothing more but an orchestrated attempt to discredit Barcelona's best era, the golden era, which, again, you don't need evidence. You don't need a courtroom. You don't need prosecutors and investigators. Just pull tape from any of those matches. You can clearly see that Barcelona used to win, not because of the help of the referees, but because we were the best team in the entire world. I mean, Real Madrid players themselves have come out. People like Kroos, Toni Kroos, Marcelo, Khedira, Di Maria, you name it. They've all come out and said how back then when they played against Barca, it was like chasing ghosts. They couldn't even get a whiff of the ball because that's how good Barcelona was. But no, it's Negreira. And of course, the idiot Madridistas repeat that, like parrots because, of course, they can't think for themselves. So they just have to repeat whatever Papa Perez tells them to repeat. And by the way, also the tape was leaked of Valverde's testimony where he says, no, I never saw those reports. We also have them at Athletic Club Bilbao. And I also never see them there because I'm not interested in them. Because remember, in Florentino Perez's speech, he said, hold on a minute. Valverde testified that he never saw those reports. So how is it that the club, that Barcelona are paying for these reports and the coaches don't even know about them? Well, it turns out that the Club de Bilbao also have scouting reports about refs, and Valverde also doesn't see them there because he's not interested. Because here's the thing. You can order those reports, and then you have them there. And if a coach wants to look at it, great. It's at his disposal. If he doesn't, then he doesn't. That's it. It doesn't mean they don't exist. If I don't read a book in a library, it doesn't mean that book doesn't exist. It just meant that I didn't read it. That's all. Anyways, let's move on to the next bit of news. And this is great news because, ladies and gentlemen, our queen bee, Aitana Bonmatí, has officially won the FIFA Best Women's Player Award as the best player of the world. Now, after completing a hat-trick of Ballon d'Ors, yes, you heard that right, Aitana Bonmatí won 3 Ballon d'Ors back-to-back. She has now completed a hat-trick of the Best Women's Player Award. So also 3 awards back-to-back. And that's 5 years in a row that a Barcelona player has won this award. Of course, Alexia Putellas won it twice in a row. And then since then, Aitana Bonmatí has won it 3 times in a row. 5 years of total domination in the women's football. Now, Aitana Bonmatí and the Barcelona family, of course, won La Liga, won the Copa de la Reina, and the Spanish Super Cup. She ended up runner-up in the Champions League. She also ended up a runner-up in the Euros with Spain. But in both tournaments, she was awarded the Best Player of the Tournament award. Absolutely amazing. Women's football, when Alexia Putellas started to get older, they were like, all right, cool, that's it. End of domination of Barcelona, and there comes Aitana Bonmatí, kind of like the whole Messi and Lamine Yamal situation. All right, on to the next bit of news because a new image has been leaked of Barcelona's home kit for next season, the 2026-2027 season. And this is what it looks like. It's very similar to the image I showed you guys several weeks, maybe last month, maybe the month before. I can't remember. But it's pretty much a little bit similar to this season's where the Blaugrana lines are not, defined. It doesn't go from blue to maroon or to red. But instead, this year, of course, it's all like kind of, it blends in. And it looks like next kit's it's more of a gradient where it starts from dark blue and it gets lighter. And then the same thing with the red from light red to darker. I kind of like it. But of course, I want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. So let me know down below. Do you like this kit for next season? Yes, no? Tell me why. I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. And now we will end today's video by talking about a guy that you guys always bring up. Barcelona should sign Alessandro Bastoni, right? Whenever we talk about Barcelona are looking to sign a center back come this summer, you guys always mention Bastoni. And well, we do have news in regards to the 26-year-old center back currently plowing his straight at Inter Milan. Because yes, Barcelona do consider him as a favorite option to sign. They consider that Alessandro Bastoni ticks all the boxes. He left a lasting impression on Barcelona after the semifinal of the Champions League last season. And Barcelona's sporting department believed that Bastoni has the quality and temperament required to succeed at the highest level. And in fact, Deco has already met with the player's agent to see, what are the chances of this happening. And while I'm sorry to do this, but it's not possible. It's simply not possible. So for now, it's going to be a dream signing, kind of like Julian Alvarez. Why? Because, of course, Bastoni's market value is 80 million euros and his contract is until 2028. So best believe Inter Milan are going to want more than the 80 million euros that Bastoni is currently worth, which, of course, makes this impossible for Barcelona given our financial situation. But just know that, yes, Bastoni is the favorite option that Barcelona have inquired about him, but unfortunately, it's simply not possible. All right, that is all for this video. I did do that post-match live analysis earlier today. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.